Welcome to the chillTV interview. Dr. Cindy Jardine from the University of the Fraser Valley. We're here to talk about COVID-19, and today, March 9th, world markets are in turmoil. Exploding cases all over the world, Italy in particular, and 16 million under quarantine, and unfortunately today announced a first casualty in BC and in Canada for the coronavirus out of Lehn Valley. So very sad news there. Maybe a little bit of positive news. Doctor received funding, university received funding from the federal government last week of how much was that?
$274,000 roughly.
And research into what specifically?
Well, my research is in quite a specific area, but of course the rationale behind the whole call from the federal government was that they wanted to get a rapid response across all areas of possible COVID-19 impact. So there are some very much in the biomedical, clinical area. My research is more in the social sciences area. I like to do the kind of health research that involves talking to people and finding out what they know, believe, need to make good decisions about health risks in their lives. So my particular research is going to look at some of our newcomers to Canada who frequently travel back to their countries of origin to visit friends and family.
So like immigrants to Canada that then travel back and visit relatives?
Exactly. And we're doing this research entirely in the Fraser Valley as sort of being a representative microcosm of Canada, because we have such a wonderfully diverse population in the Fraser Valley, and many people come here to settle from other parts of the world. But travelers who are going back to what they still think of as home in many respects are different kinds of travelers than those who just go on holiday. So they travel back more frequently. When they go back, they live as a local. They live in people's houses. They live with friends and relatives. They tend to think of their homes as safe places. So they don't always maybe think the same way about the potential for contracting an infectious disease when they travel as do other people.
So how many people do you envision will be interviewed in this study?
We're going to try interviewing about 100 to 120 people, depending on what's happening. We're going to focus on two particular immigrant groups, the Punjabi population and the Chinese population.
Okay, any reason why?
Mostly because they just represent the largest proportion of immigrants that we have in this particular area of the world. And they are also, face it, two countries that are much more in the news these days because of the COVID-19 outbreak. So.
Well, that's for sure. And I would think that there might be some stigma attached, like particularly now because the COVID-19 started in Wuhan, China. Any concern about your study focusing?
Absolutely. I mean, we very much don't want people to think that we're focusing on this group because they have done something wrong, because they're bad, because they are a risky population. That's not it at all. We're simply focusing them as a different type of traveler. And because they travel more frequently, actually have maybe a higher risk of getting infectious diseases than other people do, and because they live under different circumstances when they get there. It is in no way meant to stigmatize these populations. We don't think they're responsible for anything that's happened. But we also think that they are a group that needs specific information and specific care to make sure that they can travel safely and that they can protect their families while they're traveling.
Is there anything, without having done the study yet, but is there anything that that you feel that you'll get out of this specifically in terms of your report at the end? What sort of information are you looking for?
Well, we're going to be talking to both travelers. We're going to be talking to family physicians about their experiences in providing travelers with pre-travel advice. And we're going to be talking to our students at UFE about their experiences in traveling back to either their countries of origin or the countries of origin of their parents. One of the things, for example, we might find is that people find it hard to get pre-travel advice. Whether it's they just don't think about it, or they don't know where to go, or physicians aren't sure what to tell them, or there might be problems in travel insurance or provincial insurance not covering those kinds of visits. whatever the problem is, if we find that that's consistently coming across as a barrier to getting the advice they need to travel safely, then that's something that we can immediately give back to the provincial government and to Fraser Health Authority as something we've learned from this study that might be an easy fix for them to make sure these people get the information and the resources that they need, whether it be an upcoming immunization or anything else to travel safely.
How long is your research period going to last, do you figure?
It's a 2-year project. We are hoping, because we have such marvelous support within UFE and resources here to mobilize quickly, that we are going to be able to collect all of our data in the next 4 to 8 months. Which
so that's
may
pretty quick.
Sound like a long time, but in the research world, that's very fast.
Well, you're doing 120 or so interviews, is that right?
Yeah, we're going to have focus groups with them, so hopefully we'll have a few people at a time. But nonetheless, we're going to let 120 people tell us what they think. So, and we're going to follow up with interviews with the students and physicians as well. So
now, I would be remiss in not observing that while the study is for COVID-19 and other infectious diseases, it seems like by the time you're actually completed your research and reported on it, we may actually be past this COVID-19 situation.
Yeah, none of us have a crystal ball, of course, to say what's going to happen with COVID-19 and in both the near and the more distant futures. We think that the current outbreak of COVID-19, though, is going to make people a lot more aware of the need for this information, hopefully make it a little easier for us to recruit people who will be eager to participate in our study. And regardless whether it helps immediately in this outbreak or not, it is valuable information to have for the next outbreak.
Well, and I was going to say, it would have been valuable to have for this. So I wish you well in your research, and I look forward to hearing, maybe we don't have to wait entirely 2 years, maybe you can come back and give us an update on how things are going.
Maybe in 4 to 6 months.
Maybe in 4 to 6 months, I'd love to hear back from you.
Okay.
All right, so we won't do the handshake, we'll do the elbow bump. Yeah.
There you go.
All right, to stay PC. And so thanks so much for joining us on the show, and thank you for watching.